Hi, Mom. How's it going? I've been better, but it's okay. Oh, my son is supposed to be studying abroad in Japan, and the U.S. Postal Service blocked his passport it's in Ether. He was supposed to have flown out this weekend. It was like sent from Seattle with his visa, and we don't know where it is. So, like, I feel really bad for him because he's supposed to be doing his thing. Anyway. And how do you find things in the U.S. Postal Service? No, you know. So anyway, I'm feeling irritated by that, but it just shows like all the best laid plans in life. Totally out of our control. So anyway, other than that, it was a beautiful weekend, went through some great hikes and this, that, and the other. But I want to make some announcements. I want to, of course, I worked over the weekend because I work every weekend. And I just want to give you an update as to what's going on in the class, where we're at, because we've got a test right around the corner. Okay, so I'm going to send an email out maybe tomorrow, but then again, I'm announcing it in class, and these recordings are posted. So according to our syllabus, the first test was going to be this Friday. It's not going to be this Friday. It is going to be a week from today. Okay, so you have a little bit more time. But as I noted at the beginning of the term, you know, that schedule that we have on our syllabus is kind of like the dream, but life is not always the dream. So what I'm going to do is say that with our week this week, I'm just going to outline this. Today, I'm going to talk about lesson 4, maybe get into lesson 5 today. Maybe 5. Okay, tomorrow in class here, I'm going to talk about lesson 5. Wednesday, I will also talk about lesson 5. Thursday is a day we don't have class. But then on Friday, if I need to do anything in lesson 5, I will, but then I will also do test review. Okay, so test 1 is next Monday, October 3rd. Okay, it's here in class. Those of you who use the ODE, you need to get me an accommodation form like as soon as possible so that they can get you a testing space. Okay, that's not for me to do. You need to get that form to me, and then I'll know that I need to send them a test. Those of you who are online and doing this class primarily remotely, in an ideal world, you will come here next Monday and take the test in class. Again, life is not always ideal. So if you are doing this class remotely, you need to come to Missoula College to take the test with me proctoring it, but you need to email me like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of this week so that we can arrange a time. So those who can't make it, to take it in person must email me to make arrangements. And what the arrangements are going to consist of is you can either come here from 11 to 1 to take it, or you can come from 3 to 6 p.m. to take it. I'm happy to work with you, but you need to make arrangements with me. Okay? Yeah. Cool. So, in terms of other things, I want to bring your attention to a couple items. But what I want to say here, let me bebop over here. And let me actually make this. Want to show you what I've done on your Moodle page. Okay. Wait, I got to share it with my Zoom folks. All right, so on the class Moodle page, on the entry page, you see documents. And we haven't really had too much there, although I did give you some extra practice with the combinations and how to tell the difference between combinations and, oh, permutations. Oops, it's not there yet. Here, hold on 1 second. Let me return to my normal role. Now it'll be there. You're going to see a heck of a lot more documents. So there we go. There we go. Now, what you should also see is the test 1 review. We haven't gotten to all that material yet. So if you look at it right now and you're like, oh, that's okay. We got to finish lesson 4 and we got to cover lesson 5. But I also have solutions that I'll post for this test review. This is in order to help you prepare for the test. It's not the exact test by any stretch, but this is good practice to help you. Okay, so this is now on Moodle. The other thing that I want to show you, and I will post the solutions, and this will be what we talk about on Friday as well in class. Class activity 3, I handed out last week, and it's available on Moodle. It is due no later than Wednesday in class. Okay, so please make sure that you either email it to me by the end of class time on Wednesday, or you bring it here if you want to get credit. There is no additional activity this week. Once you hand in activity 3, the rest of your work should be focusing on getting your online homework done so that you can prepare for the test. The other comments that I'll make in terms of due dates and the like are lesson 3 is due tomorrow by midnight. That's the combinations. I'm going to tell you that lesson 4 is going to be due a week from today on test day. And lesson 5 will be due whenever we finish it. Now, I give you a week from when we complete a section to get your online homework done. The best thing that you can do for yourself, though, with the lesson 5 is get it done by the test day, because that's the best way to prepare for the test. I'm happy to give you the week that I promised you, because at the start of the term, I said I would give you 1 week from when we finish an assignment to have the online homework done. But please do it by test day. That's in your best interests. For me, it doesn't matter, but I want you all to do really well. Now, my one last comment about the test is, for the test, you can bring a calculator. There's free calculators. You're going to want to bring a calculator, because while I don't ask you to compute the combinations if they're really long on the test, I do ask you to multiply things and do other computations. So you definitely need A calculator, again, that shouldn't be an issue. We have all of those free calculators to check out. And my hope is that you've already gotten it. If you haven't, I strongly suggest you do so. And the other thing that you are allowed is a sheet of paper with notes. I don't care what you write on it, you know, perhaps formulas are good. It is my requirement that you use your own sheet of paper. You don't share a sheet of paper of notes during the class. Okay. So, and I'll say activity 3 due by end of class on Wednesday. So my last comment that I want to make is if you handed in lab activities, like physically to me, I have them to hand back to you. If you email them to me, I don't print them out, but of course I grade them and record the scores in Moodle, so you can always check that out. So if anyone hasn't gotten a lab activity back, I strongly suggest that you do so. Solutions are always posted right after class on Wednesday. That's why I don't accept any late activities, just because the solutions are there. Okay. So another thing that I want to reiterate, which I mentioned last week, is this. When I'm covering things in class, it's easier to follow, right, than it is to do it on your own. You've got to go home on a daily basis, or go wherever you go on a daily basis and practice these things. Okay, coming to class is not enough. Hearing me is not enough. I wish it was, for your sakes. Okay, like I would do anything I can to help all of you. Daily practice is what you need to do. So even if it's just reviewing your class notes from that day and then working a couple of examples from the notes on a separate sheet of paper without looking at what we did. Okay, because until you can do them on your own, you don't know whether or not you're really set. Okay. And having said that, don't wait. Like, if you don't understand something that day, you've got to come in and get help immediately. Do not put it off. Okay. As I've mentioned before, the Math Learning Center on the Mountain campus, it's in the basement of the math building. It's open Monday through Thursday from 10 to 6, like drop-in free tutoring. You can go there and do your homework there. You can do your activities there. They have awesome tutors. They do a really wonderful job of staffing that place. Okay, so my strongest suggestion is if you have trouble doing homework in math, that you just make it a default that you go there and get help if you need it. They're there to help you. I am also here to help you. Okay, all you need to do is send me an email with all of your available time, and I'll find us a mutually convenient day and time. No problem. I mean, I have a very full schedule, but I mean, you all are my priority. And so I want to be able to work with you as much as possible. That's why I don't just have set office hours. I just need to know what works for you, and I'll find us a good time that works for both of us. But this should be a place that you take advantage of. Okay, the tutors are there and they know this stuff really quite well. Okay. So again, I just want to really reiterate that daily practice is essential. Okay, don't wait and don't put anything off because stuff builds. Okay, so for example, the combinations that we did in lesson 3 we're going to be coming back to in lesson 5, okay, i.e. tomorrow. So I want to say that while combinations are not a big deal on the test, I mean, maybe it's like 10 points out of 100, maybe. They're not a huge thing, but things build. And so don't put off not understanding something, okay? This is the hardest thing to explain about in a math class, because you know, you can go to a lot of other classes and hear your teacher talk, and it's like, I get it, right? But math is one of those things, like learning a sport, like learning an instrument. You can't do it by watching other people do it. You got to practice, practice, and more practice. And, you know, you take like people who are professionals, like, I don't know, I mean, this goes back a time, but we've got basketball players in here. I grew up in Chicago, so like I was around during the time of Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, all those guys, and got to see them. But they would practice every single day, even though they were so awesome. Like that is just how you have to learn the math. And again, I'll just say one more thing. I get it. If you don't like math, it's, you have to work on it every day. But what I would say is it will pay off. Okay. So, yeah. Woo. Okay. I always like getting announcements out of the way because then I can talk about math, and math is a lot more fun than the announcement. So, anyway, test 1 a week from today. I will post the solutions to the test review. I would suggest you don't look at the test review yet, because you're just going to see a lot of stuff and feel very, very overwhelmed. And give me a chance to explain it to you. Okay. But yeah. Y'all ready? Cool. So we were talking, and the other thing that I want to say is coming to class, whether it's Zooming or coming in person, is a great idea. It's easier to get than by listening to recording. You get a full class period to take the test. I write the test so that you have plenty of time to take it. The last thing I'm going to say, and I'll talk about the test on Friday. I'll tell you how many questions are on the test and what exactly to expect. I have no problem narrowing it down and say, hey, these are the things you need to focus on. I want to add that hopefully you've gotten enough of a feel for me by now. I'm not out to trick anybody. I'm not out to like put the hardest possible questions on the test. That's not who I am. I write a test so that you have the opportunity to show me what you can do. Nothing on the test will be a surprise if you've been coming to class regularly and working on the class activities and can work through the class notes. Okay, so again, if you can do activity 1, 2, and 3, and you're cool with the examples we do in class, there's nothing that's going to be a surprise to you. Okay. Okay. Well, we were talking about probabilities and all of that fun stuff. We did a table question and all sorts of other things last time. And we also saw that there was that union rule for probability that we don't want to double count. Okay. So, and we saw that in the context of a deck of cards. So what I want to do now is bring back a Venn diagram. Okay. So suppose I tell you that 110 people are surveyed. About their music expenditures. 38 of those people bought rock music. 20 of those people were teens who bought rock music. And 26 of those people were teens. And what I want us to do is fill out a Venn diagram . And then based on that, answer the following questions. All right. You will totally have a Venn diagram question on your test. Like straight up. I'll tell you what's on your test, like what to expect. It's just the stupid stories are going to change slightly. Like that's the best I can tell you. Okay. So we need to fill in a Venn diagram. It will be a 2-circle Venn diagram, and I'll even have the letters in there. So this is rock, and these are teens. Okay. So I'm going to tell you that I'm going to ask you to fill in a Venn diagram. One of the test taking strategies that I told you all last time when we were talking about Venn diagrams is if you forget how to fill in a Venn diagram, make up the numbers. Because I answered your probability questions that follow based on your Venn diagram. Okay, I do that because if you make a mistake filling in the Venn diagram, but you answer the questions correctly that follow, you shouldn't lose any additional points. Right? You knew how to read your Venn diagram. Okay. So let's kind of bring our minds back to filling in a Venn diagram. When we do so, where do you start? Good job. You start in the innermost region. So notice this innermost region, aren't they teenagers who bought rock music? Okay, how many teenagers bought rock music? 20. Now, we see that a total of 38 people bought rock music. Do not put the 38 right here. The people who bought rock music are here and here. Remember, these are the teenagers who bought rock music. These are the people who bought rock music who are not teenagers. So like me, okay? So if a total of 38 people bought rock music and we've accounted for 20 of them, how many people go here? 18. Okay, a total of 26 people were teenagers. Do I put 26 right here? No. Okay, that's my whole teenage circle. Notice that whole thing's got to add up to 26. How many of those 26 have we accounted for? 20. So how many go here? 6. Now, you might ask, who are these people? They're teenagers who don't buy rock music. All right, am I done? No. Okay, I need to get the people who exist out here. These are people who are not teenagers and they also don't buy rock music. Okay, well, how do I find that number? Good. I know that my universe has to add up to 110. I've accounted for 38 plus 6 or 44 people. So I take 110 minus 44, I get 66, and that represents the number of people who are not teenagers and don't buy rock music. It's in a moment since you filled out a Venn diagram. This is why I do these things in class, okay? But you will have to fill in a 2-circle Venn diagram. All right, so based on that Venn diagram, and so the Venn diagram is worth 4 points on your test, okay? So that's why I say if you have to make up numbers because you get yourself confused while filling it in, it's only 4 points you're gonna lose, that's nothing, okay? But fill in some numbers so that you can answer probability questions that follow. So, a person is selected at random. Find the probability that, how about part A? The person is not a teen. Now, while you're writing that down, I'm just going to say notice. The question has changed slightly. Before, when we talked about Venn diagrams, I asked how many. Now we're finding the probability. Okay? Don't forget, when you find probabilities, what should go through your head is divide. Okay? Remember, our definition of a probability is that the probability of an event is the number of ways the event happens divided by the total. Okay? So it's really important to note what's being asked. Okay? Well, how many people in this Venn diagram are not teens? Okay? Cover up your teenage circle. It's these 66, but it's also these 18, right? Remember, not teen means the complement of teen. So it's these 66 plus that 18, which is 84. What do I divide by? What's the total number of people here? 110. Good job. Right? 110 is the total number of people who were surveyed. What if I want you to find the probability that a randomly selected person is a teen who does not buy rock music? Okay, this is locating where we're talking about in our Venn diagram. So again, this is where the math starts building, right? Because it goes back to understanding how to read these Venn diagrams. What part of my Venn diagram consists of teens who don't buy rock music? These 6, right? They got to be teenagers, so it's got to be in my teenage circle, but it can't intersect the R. So it's 6 over what? 110. And as I mentioned to you last week, you can leave your fractions like this. I'm not asking you to simplify fractions on a test. All right, what if I want to find the probability that the person bought rock music or is a teen? Well, again, what's my total number of people? 110. Okay, so now it's a matter of reading off the portion of the Venn diagram that we're trying to get at. Okay, I got the word or. What are you thinking? Union. Aren't I looking at the union of R and T? So isn't it these 18 plus these 20 plus these 6? So it's 44. What do you think? Didn't you think that was fun? I think Venn diagrams are really fun, but nobody asked me. All right. So let me do this one now. Here's another example. Suppose we have jelly beans and Skittles. And let's have red ones, orange ones, and blue ones. Now I'm going to put numbers in here, okay? What I want you to do is copy this down if you take notes. This is what I call a table problem. Now, the beauty of table problems as opposed to Venn diagram problems is the table's already filled in. Okay, that's something worth celebrating, isn't it? Okay. You will also have a table problem on your test. Because one of the things that you're going to see, you know, as you move forward in whatever your major discipline is, there's a lot of information that tends to be provided to people in table form. Okay. So what I want to do right now is just talk with you about this table so that you know how to read it. Okay. I claim that there are a total of 44 red pieces of candy here, right? Of those, 30 are jelly beans and 14 were Skittles. Okay. How many total Skittles do we have in this sample? You go to Skittles, you go down to total, and it's 20. How many blue jelly beans are there? Blue and jelly beans, 2. Good. How many orange pieces of candy total are there? Orange, 54. How many total pieces of candy do we have? 100. Notice that the total red, orange plus blue makes 100. Similarly, the 80 jelly beans and 20 Skittles also make 100. Are there any questions on reading this table? Please ask if you have one. All right. A piece of candy is selected at random. Let's find the probability that this randomly selected piece of candy is a Skittle. Okay. Perfect. How many total Skittles are in this pile of candy? 20 out of how many total pieces of candy? 100. As far as I'm concerned, you can leave it like that. If you want to put 20%, go for it. If you want to simplify that to 1/5, go for it. I would just leave well enough alone. Okay. What if I want you to find the probability that a randomly selected piece of candy is blue? How many blue pieces of candy are in this? 2 out of the total of 100. Aren't these cute little probability questions so far? What if I want us to find the probability that we selected an orange jelly bean? Ew, I don't like orange jelly beans. Good. There's a total of 48. Notice orange jelly bean means orange and jelly bean. So there's a total of 48 out of 100. You with me this far? Okay. Please yell out or speak out if you're on Zoom if you have a question. What if I ask you to find the probability that that randomly selected piece of candy is orange or a jelly bean? I'm showing you this right now to contrast that I'm not asking the same question that I just asked. Okay, this was orange and jelly bean. Now we're talking orange or a jelly bean. Could I just say that, well, there's 54 orange candies and 80 jelly beans, so add them up? I hope not, because if you do that, what do you get? Don't you get 134 over 100? What's the problem here? You can't have a probability greater than 1. No. This, my friends, is where you use that union rule, the whole idea of don't double count. Okay? Now, you can literally use the union rule that I showed you, or you can read it off the table. And I'm going to show you both ways. Okay? Remember, what I'm wanting to do here is O union JB. Okay? Well, you could use the formula. That's the probability of the first plus the probability of the second minus the probability of the intersection. If you want to use a formula, remember, we did this formula last week when we were dealing with our cards, because we didn't want to double count those face cards that were black. What is the probability that a randomly selected piece of candy that we choose is orange? It's 54 over 100. What is the probability that a randomly selected jelly bean that we pick, or a randomly selected piece of candy that we pick, is a jelly bean? 80 over 100. But now we've got to subtract off the ones that we've double counted. In other words, these 48. If you do this computation, you're going to get 86 over 100. So 134 minus 48 is 86. Now, I'm a formula type of gal. Yes, we want to subtract off the intersection. In other words, which jelly beans are orange? Orange and jelly beans are right here. I think, Riley, a easier way to look at this is as follows. Watch this. Do you agree that these are my orange jelly beans? Or my orange candies? Do you agree that these are my jelly beans? Wasn't this 48 circled twice? I'm being very literal here. So if you don't like formulas, you can be extremely literal here, right? We want them to be jelly beans or orange. This 48 was counted twice. See, it's in this circle and in this circle. So personally, I wouldn't even use this long formula. I would just say, well, here's 80 of them, and now we got to add on another 6. Let's do another practice one like that. Riley, did that help by actually doing these circles? Cool, cool. And I don't require you use formulas. And honestly, my friends, when I say on a test, please show all work for full credit. If you just wrote 20 over 100 here, I'd be totally like full credit, cool, you got it. Okay. And similarly here, if you just wrote 86 over 100, that would be fine. Okay. You don't have to use the formula if you understand it better, getting that visual. All right, so what if I want us to find the probability that the piece of candy is red or a Skittle? Okay. Well, 2 ways to look at it. We could say, well, this is probability of R union S. So it's the probability that it's red plus the probability that it's a Skittle minus the probability of the red Skittles. How many are red? 44, so the probability is 44 over 100. How many are Skittles? So the probability is 20 over 100. And how many red Skittles are there? 14. So we get 50 over 100. Now, for those of you who liked the picture better, check it out. These are my red candies. These are my Skittles. Notice this 14 was circled twice. So I would just take one of those totals and then add on the remaining. So I want to give you a moral of the story. When you have a table and are asked for the probability of some union, in other words, you see that word or, don't double count. You want to have your antenna up when you're doing table problems. And my friend, you can write this on your sheet of paper with notes. Like, I'm not going to look at your sheet of paper with notes. I'll have enough tests to look at. Okay. So, you know, when you need to give yourself little hints or pieces of advice, do it. Okay, we have 4 minutes. Should I do one more? Okay, I will say that this finishes off lesson 4. Okay. I will open up the homework today. What if I want us to find the probability that a randomly selected piece of candy is red or orange or a Skittle? Oy. Never thought we'd get sick of talking about candy. What I would do here is I would take my total number. So what are we doing? We're doing red or orange or a Skittle. So it's everything that's been circled, but how many would we need to be cautious of double counting? These two guys here, right? This 14 and this 6. So what I would do is I would just add up my 44 plus my 54. And well, I don't have anything else to add on. That's a 0. So we would just get 98 over 100. No, because didn't I already count those 20 right here in my Skittles? Right, here's 44, here's 54. I have no other color Skittles to add on. Then you would add it on. Yes, yes, yes. I'm not going to get that involved on a test type question, I promise. All right, so technically there's 2 minutes left in class. So what I want to do is what I always do. And that is to say that I'm going to assign your homework in lesson 4. And I know that some people have already gone in and done it, but again, I never expect you to jump in until we actually complete it. And then I want to bring you to something real quick. Yeah, wow, October 3rd, October next week. That's just nuts. So what I want to do now is, because I have 1 minute, is bring you to this documents section. And I gotta reshare it. 1 second. There we go. Okay. So I just want to mention this, and I'll start out class with this tomorrow. This is writing a sample space in the event, like what we did at the beginning of lesson 4. Question number 2, I want you to work on, I want to see, this is a translating. Do you know or versus and, union and intersection? Hint. But here's a Venn diagram question. So that's similar to what we just did. And here's a table problem, which is also similar to what we just did. Okay, we'll get into trees tomorrow and Wednesday. And then notice here, these are multiplication principle. And we will get to these things also, but these are combination. Okay. All right. Have an awesome day.